I'd like to call to order the February the 1st, 2021 Oconee County Planning Commission meeting. Invocation. Let me go ahead and take care of that, if you will. Pray with me, if you please. Father God, thank you for bringing us together tonight. We ask your blessings upon us tonight as we do the county's business, as we plan ahead for the future of the county. We ask your blessings on the leaders in this country, too, that they're able to come together to work towards a better government and a better country for everyone involved. We ask your blessings on Gwen and her family and her employee, Rick, for his healing, and for the Barnett family for their transition and to be a peaceful time in the days ahead. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge of Allegiance. Alex, would you do the honors?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment. If I mispronounce your name, please be patient with me. We have Kenneth Jackson Jr.
And Mr. Smith, I think we talked
Yes.
with my neighbors here, so I would, on behalf of one of them, would just continue on for a couple of minutes, with, again, your permission.
That's fine. Just continue on. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you for hearing me tonight. My name's Kenneth Terry Jackson Jr. I'm a resident of Fairplay. And again, I'd like to acknowledge neighbors here that have come up in support of me and what I'll be discussing with you tonight. The topic is the proposed Speedway gas station at the intersection of I-85 and exit 4 in Fairplay. I was at the county council meeting 2 weeks ago talking about the sum and more applicable to you guys, so I want to talk about it a little further. I understand you have a copy of the presentation. I will certainly not go through all these slides in detail because there's a lot. I'm going to go pretty quick, but I hope that you guys will have a chance to read that if you haven't already, and not let that influence what I'll be talking about later tonight. First, I want to emphasize I am not against development. Any development you want to do. That intersection anywhere, I am not against development. The point is it just needs to be managed proactively, and that's what I'd like to talk to you about. So we'll go through these slides quickly. The first slide here, strong recommendation for this group here, for the Planning Commission to go on public record that states that no further advancement or any development on Whitfield Road at I-85 interchange until specific and approved funded road improvements have been in place. We already know there's a Speedway station coming, and we suggest nothing further should be permitted until the road situation is addressed, and I'll highlight that now, please. Again, just more of the same. I do want to emphasize, here's the traffic that's been backing up on the I-85 ramp right here, though. Next slide, please. And then it gets worse. Then you got guys trying to get out of the mobile station on that same road onto this same road. Again, here's traffic coming up. So the point I want to make really on this slide, not only is the traffic bad, this is a safety concern. This is not just a nuisance. It is a safety concern. you guys need to be aware of. When I was at the zoning appeal board meeting last week, when they were talking about the sign there, I was very impressed that everybody on the, several comments, people on the board members themselves talked about safety and their concern on how safety could be relative to the signs. I clearly think safety would be an important factor on the roads that this group here needs to think about, please. So safety will be and you can see from that picture, I mean, safety is a big deal here. Next slide, please. Again, just more of the same, but you can see it all the way backed up now in this direction. Next slide, please. Same thing, and again, safety. This particular vehicle now, the back of it is actually stuck onto the oncoming lane of the Whitfield Road. So, and it's kind of a blind turn. So this can happen a lot, so again, emphasizing safety. You'll see that date says February 19th. Next slide, please. It's still a problem. This is just from this month. I guess it'd be last month now. So still a problem. You see traffic even decides to get tired of waiting, gets on the oncoming lane, there's a truck coming this way, and tries to make a cut in. They actually take a longer traverse than that sometimes, so it even gets even more risky. Next slide, please. Again, here it is, just a couple of nights ago, going home. This is 8 o'clock at night now. So the situation's still not any better. Next slide, please. And we won't talk about this one, but just more. Next slide, please. So now here's the road we're talking about, Whitfield Road. I'm standing on the bridge, looking in both directions, down towards the Loves and back towards where the proposed speedway would be. So the point is, it's kind of a narrow bridge condition, no traffic signs, no turning lanes, nothing in that area, small paved area. It's a narrow road, bottom line, with limited view. Next slide, please. So there's other I-85 interchanges I've looked at up and down the road to see what they're like. Here's I-85 exit 21, there's a QT there. They got longer lanes, they've got turning signals and whatnot. Next slide, please. Here's I-85 exit 35, facing both directions. Again, same thing, much better road conditions in general. Stoplights there, you can see. Next slide, please. Even went to Georgia in both directions, or going down that way. You can see several things there. Next slide, please. I'm sorry I've gone through them so fast, but I think there's still a lot to go through. One thing I do want to emphasize on this last slide here, these intersections were not cherry-picked. I didn't drive down and go, oh, I don't want to show that one, I don't want to show. These were pretty much indicative of similar type of businesses in the interchange and how the roads are in all cases better than what we have down at Whitfield Road right now. Next slide, please. Just another one again. Next slide, please. Here's just 5 minutes from here, the Industrial and Technology Park. Much better intersection, much better roads here, and yet there's hardly any traffic on here compared to what we get down on exit 4. Next slide, please. We're talking the Speedway, but down the road still, there's also a proposed manufacturing park or development park that's going to come in here one of these days if it gets sold. Next slide, please. So DOT, have also been communicating with them. That's the gentleman here that's responsible for this particular area. There has been a traffic impact that has been studied. Coney, you guys can request that study. My comment on that is this needs to be considered. This traffic impact study needs to be addressed and looked at prior to any approvals. I understand maybe it's even completed. I would strongly question the validity of any study that says that there's not a traffic problem down there, or we don't see any worse of a problem. The pictures alone should show the traffic problem. Any study that says that, I would question the validity of that study significantly. So next slide, please. And this just kind of starts to summarize. So again, with all that, here's where we are with I-85. Same pictures, but here's what we have. And so again, my recap is to request you guys to go on public record for no further advancement of any development until we have the traffic addressed and funded to where it's going to take care of it. And then in addition, last slide, please, because I don't want to take any more of your time. There's several questions just to understand the process and all that. I would appreciate when someone has the opportunity to get with me. Adam has my email address to just let me know the answers to that. Make sure we're aware of any of the next steps. And I very much appreciate your time tonight and a few minutes extra that you allowed me. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Amy Pendergrass.
She was the second
She was the
lady
second speaker.
that allowed me to
Okay.
speak. Yes, sir. I'm
Well, you
sorry.
were going at it so well, I didn't want to interrupt you. Excellent presentation. Very good. And you said Adam has your contact information?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Does anybody else have any comments about this?
Not at this moment. And I look forward to reading through it again.
Let me inject a couple comments at this point. that are just related, I would say they're housekeeping problems. This is my first effort up here, so if you'll bear with me for a minute. I want to be sure that everybody understands my goals. I want to be sure that we keep the comp plan in focus. It's required as part of our responsibilities and duties that we address the comp plan whenever we go forward with any kind of ordinance. I want to create a priority list, and we're going to work on that later on in the meeting, and take a look and see if there's some effort that we can do to increase efficiency. I'm going to ask Adam to put our job description in some material for us in the future so that we have that available so that we can look at it and remind ourselves exactly where we are supposed to be going and where our boundaries are. Now, let me describe how we work with Adam and his staff. Adam doesn't work for us. We don't work for Adam. We work together. And let's be sure that we're aware of that. So if you're asking him to do something, be sure that you understand the relationship that we have. I'd like to keep everything on a first-name basis. I think it will help everything in the future and make it more relaxed atmosphere. The one thing I want to be sure that we do is that we don't interrupt each other when we are talking about a subject. Let's try to, I know there's some certain feelings as subjects are going to come up and we're going to get kind of emotional about them, but let's try not to interrupt each other. Homework, occasionally we have to do homework and we grade it accordingly. Spelling and punctuation doesn't count, so let's just get your homework in done. I'm aware of attention spans, so hopefully I will plan accordingly. 2-hour meetings, we tend to lose our attention at that point. And does anybody else have anything they want to add? Subtract? Please feel free to contact me at any time, 7 days a week, about 20 hours a day. I don't sleep much anymore at my age, so don't hesitate to call me or contact me in any way that you feel comfortable with. All right, approval of the minutes. Can we have a approval of the minutes at this time? Has anybody got any changes or deletions or corrections at this time?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Adam, would you bring us up to date on design standards, please?
Certainly. Planning and economic development sent to council some design standards for certain corridors around the county. I did not include that material in your backup because I just want to give you a heads up about it. Now we're going to get bogged down in details. I will send that to you tomorrow. There'll be a public hearing with the planning commission on the 1st of March, and then it'll be open for debate. So just kind of want to put it out there that I will send you. It's a few pages long. I'm gonna get a map made for it as well, and you all just kind of chew on it and see how you feel about it, and then we'll get together on March 1 and speak about it. So that's just kind of a brief overview.
At this point, I would like to make a motion that the planning department research additional cost estimates for incorporating design in 1 and 2 in building codes for those design standards. Is anybody interested in
Say that again?
I'd like to make a motion for the planning department to research additional cost estimates for incorporating design 1 and 2 in building costs. That's for the design standards.
If I may just hop in here, that's just, if somebody's gonna put up a Speedway gas station, how much additional dollars it'll cost with design standards on it? Is that what the question is?
Yes, that's right.
That makes sense. I can attempt to, I can certainly, you all can make the motion and vote on it if you so choose, and I will try to prior to the hearing. I will certainly try to, and I will work through it. But prior to the hearing, I'd like to say I can guarantee that, but I'm just putting that out there.
Okay. I would still like to keep that motion out there, that you do that for
Sure.
us. Does anybody else, can I get a second to it, discussion or
So
whatever?
you're asking like
cost without design standards versus cost with
Yes,
design.
yes, because that's a question that's gonna come up.
Sure.
Gee, how much more is this gonna cost us to do this?
I'm still not following you. I'm still not following you. Are you asking what the cost would be for a developer to actually implement
Incorporate.
something?
Incorporate. There are gonna be two design standards, Design 1 and Design 2 for certain corridors. How much additional cost is it gonna be for them to incorporate, say, these requirements for Design 2 into their design? It'll be a valid question that people will ask.
I can't imagine there possibly being a way to determine that, not knowing what the structure's gonna look like, not knowing what the size of the property is that is being evaluated. I mean, I don't know that you can just do a general percentage of X percent increase. Is there? Am I misunderstanding what's being asked?
No, you're not misunderstanding it because we don't know the size or the scope of the structure. But I'm sure it'll be a question that will come up.
Is that part of the design standards that we're gonna be doing the public hearing on? Is that something that's inside that document?
The cost of it, no, but I think he's asking how much is it gonna cost?
But what was, is there a design standard one and a we don't have any of that information, so
That's correct.
we don't know if we wanna make this motion or not. We don't know if we want you to do anything. We understand it when we actually see the document itself. I think in my opinion, I think the motion's a little premature that we even do this before we actually see the document that we're actually making a motion on.
Well, there's going to be a certain amount of time involved trying to gather this, and I'm trying to prevent a delay, is what I'm trying to do.
Oh, we've got another meeting before March the 1st,
We do.
Yes,
so we can maybe bring this up at our next meeting.
And see those two
And that way we'll
photos?
have the information.
I can give it to you beforehand. I'm kind of hesitant for us to bring up the whole, like, we can have like this discussion again. I'm kind of hesitant to bring the actual document to the meeting, just because in case we just start going down the rabbit hole, because we did advertise it out for March 1. So if I were to give you all the document tomorrow or tonight, and then we could have this same discussion regarding asking staff to cost it out. Like maybe take some existing projects.
When you say the document, are you talking about the marked up ordinance? The changes to the ordinances that are occurring
So they
for the corridors?
Yeah, kind of. Council created this ordinance, they sent it to planning commission. But we have to legally advertise that out a certain amount, 30 days. And so we're doing that, but we're inside that 30-day period. So it's currently advertised for March 1st. And there is another meeting between now and March 1 if you all wanted to look at it. I'm just kind of hesitant to bring it to the table because we haven't advertised.
There's the corridor ordinance for the entire county, and then there's the lake corridor signage ordinance change, right? Those are two different items?
Yes, sir.
You're talking about both of those?
No, sir.
Or
Just
the first
corridor.
one,
Yes.
corridor, okay.
Not the signage one. The signage one is actually playing county council tomorrow. So we're not really party to that tomorrow.
okay. So it looks like nobody has the appetite to second this. We'll just go ahead and drop this until the next meeting then, and see if there's interest in it at the next meeting.
I think we need to be better informed up here as to what's being asked, because I don't know that yes, it might be a question asked, but I don't know it's an answer that a county or government entity could even be giving a developer. Because we don't know the size and scope of what the project is that they're trying to do, if I understand what you're asking. But I would like to see and get more into seeing 1 and 2 before we start talking about them. I would also like to see what we are doing. I mean, I know that we have put that out there to the public, but design standard seems to be, we've kicked that can for 4 years now and have done very little about it. But I remember back last summer, a dog washing facility was going into somebody's residential home, and neighbors lost their mind over a property that was commercially zoned and not in a neighborhood specifically, but they lost their mind over the fact that there was going to be this commercial enterprise doing small business. I also remember back last summer that there was a, going down 130, someone that wanted to build a storage facility that they wanted signage and entrance off of the main road, which violated some of our current stuff. And people in that area became very aware of it, oftentimes too late in the game. And as you go down 130 now, talking about that lake corridor, there are several commercial buildings going up, and there are several commercial enterprises that are talking about coming in there. And one of these days, something is going to go in that is going to be so obnoxiously looking or not in fitting with the area that, again, I feel like people are going to lose their mind. So I hope that we are marketing this in such a way that people that want to come and voice their opinion can come and voice their opinion at these meetings, because as it stands now, we oftentimes hear about it from the public a year after they should have been here talking about it to us about it, because at that point it's too late. So I do hope that people are paying attention to this meeting that's coming up.
Well, you will send us that, and I'll withdraw my motion at this time. Okay? Will you help us out with impact fees update?
Sure. So a while ago now, impact fees were brought up and sent to the planning commission. We're currently going through trying to find how to do the capital improvement plan. Impact fees are consistent of several different big parts. The capital improvement plan happens to be one of them, and that says basically this room needs to be ADA compliant, just for conversation's sake. Not that it does, it's fine, but just for conversation's sake. How much does it cost to get to that point? And so we're going through various iterations on how to get to that for all the county facilities. We're also still in a holding pattern due to the census, because the impact fees are based upon projections, and we're using the latest census numbers to base those projections off of. So April theoretically is when census numbers come out. So we're just kind of, that's where we are at the moment. So it's just kind of, I don't have a whole lot to give you. I just wanted to, it got brought up, and I just wanted to put it out to you.
You got any questions, comments, suggestions, whatever? Can we flip item 10 in place of 9 at this particular time? Does anybody have any objection to that? To keep everybody's attention span going? Anybody got any objection? Okay, let me give you a little memory recall here. In October and November, David, that's what occurred, was we were working on strategies, and we wanted to look at the 2021 strategies to see which ones we wanted to address as a priority. And there are a number of them, and we were asked, the members were to come in with their recommendations of what they wanted for 2021. And unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of feedback. So it was left at that particular point for Adam to come up with some. And actually, I got together with him, and if you'll show the first slide, this is what we came up with.
Or the one that you brought?
One that I brought, please.
Hold on. Give me 1 second.
All right. I want to explain this to you. What you're seeing is one that Adam and I put together. And the number that you see in parentheses is really a number that is relative to the number of comments that were received from the citizens. And of course, then there's the strategy number. And those are the ones that Adam and I put together that we felt were ones that we could deal with, ones that were important, and ones that needed addressing. If anybody has any comment at this time, additions, deletions, we only have 17 meetings remaining. There are 38 2021 strategies, and 28 of them have got the planning department involved. So there are 10 of them that are out of the purview of the planning department. And of those 28, these are the ones that we thought would have the most impact and address issues that the citizens had brought forward.
Are you looking at me? Because I do have a comment.
Oh, I knew you were going to have a comment.
So if I remember correctly, in that meeting, we were trying to come up with and doing homework over what we wanted to do. And I think we came back and said, instead of what we want to do, let's look at the top 10 things that the county residents asked us to do. And is that this list then?
Those are not the top 10. I will tell you what the top 10 are for review. Okay? I will tell you what the top 10 are. Number 1 was entertainment and recreational options. Number 2 was expand and upgrade libraries. Number 3 was enhance or encourage downtown retail. Number 4 was road maintenance and planning. And here we are, we had that gentleman right here before us. Number 5 was sidewalks, bike lanes, and trails in developments. Number 6 was littering. And number 7 was amending the rec plans. Number 8 was protect land sources. Number 9, water quality. And number 10, opportunity zone. I can keep going, but.
No, so this list then is what staff actually felt like that
Well, it's
could
me
potentially
and
get accomplished?
me and staff, but understand that we had all of the 2021 ahead of us, and we asked the members to send us which ones they thought that was important to them, and only one person turned it in. So then the decision was made, let's see if staff can come up with it, and I worked with staff, and this is what we came up with. Now, in an effort to get a priority list together, this is what I'm suggesting just for the 2021. Now, let me carry this conversation on again. There is another slide here that has the 2020 priority list that we have, and there it is right there in front of you. And you can see which ones we did and which ones we didn't do. And if we can work through the 2021 strategies and then see if there are any that you want to add on to the 2020 priority list, then we'll have a priority list for 2021. In other words, combine the two. Not all of them.
Okay.
Let's start down here at the end. Alex, you got any thoughts on this at this point?
So you're looking to consolidate those two lists as kind of the
Well,
plan?
I would like to consolidate them. What I'd like to do is pick about 3 or 4 out of this 2020 list and add them on to the strategy, the 2021 strategies that we have, and say, okay, that's a priority list. But we understand that as time goes on, that these priorities may change. Different things may occur at different times. We've had tornadoes, we've had this, we've had that going on.
I'm trying to look through those and see the ones that we can, really do. A lot of those are kind of just falling into place, but the option for sidewalks and public right-of-way, it seemed like that was something that was fairly simple when we looked at it the first time.
It is, and it's included in the strategies for 2021.
Okay.
I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and stick my head well above my foxhole right now. Let me have a third slide, would you please, Adam? All right, those are my suggestions. This is me at 4 o'clock in the morning. And those are mine out of the 2020 priority list. Let's go back one, if you will. Can we come together with something here?
So we've dealt with number 6, is that correct, RV park?
Yes,
We have, number 4 is, there's not really anything that we can immediately do with number 4.
no.
Um,
We're dealing with housing now.
We're dealing with, then I was going to that, number 7, the multifamily housing. I've not seen anything come up specifically regarding multifamily. Did I miss that meeting?
I think we briefly talked about it.
We talked about it, but we never completely addressed it. Community group development standards, it's kind of like Hartwell Village. You know, do we need some kind of a ordinance there for that, or standards, or whatever? The junkyard ordinance, we've scratched around with that.
And the access to local healthy food, I mean, that sounds great. I don't know what we.
Right, it's out of our
do
control.
With that.
You want to go back and look at my
I mean,
selection again?
I would throw the sidewalks on the other, and we could revisit that and see what the.
The sidewalks are in the strategy for 2021.
Oh, you said they were already on, I didn't see
Yeah.
them on there.
And item 3 is being handled by the tech school right now, is it not?
Sure is.
Tri-County?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's really out of our purview.
Well, that appears to be pretty much everything.
So we did pretty good for 2020.
we bounced around.
Considering it
We
was
kicked the
2020.
can really well.
With
David,
half the
you got any
meetings, we knocked
I would
it.
like, I would like to see your 2021 list again, please.
Sure. Let's go ahead. Can you do that for me?
It goes on for a few pages.
Can you,
I'll have it in there.
What you need?
the PowerPoint,
The other one, I can't see that.
That one?
yeah.
Yes, that one.
All right, this one right here. You were asking about sidewalks.
So how much are the second and third items on that list gonna cost the taxpayers?
Oh,
What number are we on again? Was it the
we're
other side
looking,
of this
we're
slide?
looking at this right here.
Second and third items on that list?
You talk about Utica Mill and the sidewalks, those? I don't think the idea is for Oconee County to purchase Utica Mill. I think it's just it's been there for a while, and the idea was, is there anything we can do to help push that purchase? I don't think the county has an interest in buying it, if that's what you're asking. I think it's something that needs to be developed at some point, and the idea was to encourage development of it, but I don't think the idea is to buy Utica Mill site.
It's a opportunity zone investment, and we need to keep looking at that to see if we can do that.
And the sidewalks, I think the idea there was the county, they do not allow sidewalks in the right of way.
On county-owned roads, sidewalks are not part of,
So
inside.
even if somebody came in and wanted to do that,
They
they
couldn't, we'd have to
couldn't
address
do
it in
that.
ordinance.
Yeah. So the idea would be to make it allowable.
Part of zoning for the residential, is that?
No, it's,
It's-
go
it's-
ahead.
It's just county roads, from my understanding.
That's correct. It's just the roads that the counties has purview. There's private roads, there's county roads, and there's state roads. Just in the county roads, we currently do not.
There's an ordinance in place that prohibits a developer from being able to do a sidewalk.
And what I thought is, it would be an option. In other words, the developer pays for it, and it's part of, he bonds it for a number of years, and then turns it over to the county. And it's part of a development expense.
So would the answer be there's no tax dollars on the third item that we're incurring until
Can you go
long
back,
term?
please, Adam?
And the other thing, the bike trails and lanes, some of that I think came out of that corridor study. I think the Greenway path or something, I think there's potential for grants and things like that. I mean, to put a dollar amount on any of those things as far as what the county would spend, or, I mean, it could be nothing, or,
So right now, a developer he develops a development, and as long as he builds the road systems and the engineers those systems in a way that is approved by the county, they can appeal to the county to take over that road, which they oftentimes do. But right now, a developer can't say, well, I want to build this wonderful development with parks and recs and ponds and this and that, because they can be limited on some of the things they can do within our current ordinance system. So I have no problem revisiting that to discuss sidewalks. I don't know how that works, so I think the HOA still manage that part of it. I don't know that for sure.
Okay, but the county, what we're saying there is the county up front, there would be no tax dollars to that.
That would be the assumption.
Just a change in ordinance
Correct.
that we would be visiting.
It's to make it allowable, really.
Right,
I mean,
change in ordinance.
yes.
You're not requiring it, you're just making it an option.
Understand?
Anyway, to get back to this, Frankie, you got thoughts, comments?
I'm going back to my public safety, that's listed nowhere in all this paperwork that I got. I know we don't have jurisdiction to tell the council what they can and can't do, but we also have an obligation to the citizens of this county to request that the council do certain things, and at this point, public safety is a joke around here because we have like 100 and something, 105, 106 officers. I'm not sure the exact number. We should have 120 minimum, and it should be our responsibility. It is in the comp plan, suggesting that we look into things for public safety, and I still say we need to send a letter to council requesting that they consider law enforcement in this county and hire the appropriate officers that we need to protect our citizens. We have children being molested, and we have old people being attacked or whatever, and we don't have the officers to protect them. Officers in Westminster, it takes them all kind of time to get to Long Creek, or it takes them a long time to get to Mountain Rest. We don't have anything. We're short officers, and it is our responsibility to see that the council at least looks at the problem, and I think that should be a part of our things that we need to look at over this year.
I agree.
Right now, it's public, right now they're going through the budget process, so this is a good time to send a letter to council. Not sure of the wording, but to send a letter and strongly suggest that they look at the number of officers we have and suggest that they, lack of better words, get off their butt and hire some. I'd rather my taxes to go up for hiring an officer than I had my taxes go up because they want to build an industrial park. Just like they bought all that land in Fairplay and it's still not sold. So I think that should be added to our things that we need to do this year.
I'd like to stay focused on these strategies we have here.
Public safety's in this thing. I brought it up to everyone's attention in the December meeting. It's there.
Who's responsible for it?
We are.
Okay, is that what the column says that it is?
I don't care what these little responsibility, accountability agencies say. We are here for the best interest of this county, for the citizens of this county. Not just to tell them they can't grow tomatoes on their land, because we're zoning that. We're here to make sure that the council understands that public safety is a big issue in this county. Our sheriff doesn't have enough officers. He's got a lot retiring. We need those replaced. They need to come up with the money. They got money for everything else. They can come up with money for this. So it is our job to send them a letter suggesting that they look into these problems. We can't tell them they have to, but we can send letters suggesting that they do.
And I'm going to agree with Mr. Pearson. It's not on that list, and I think it should be.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Maybe some things shouldn't be on that list that are.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Here we go back to this again. Do you want to come up with your own list, Dave?
Yes, sir.
Okay, will you submit it next week,
Yes, sir.
Friday? Yes, sir. By Friday.
I'll get with
Okay.
you.
Frankie,
I'll work
would
with
you
Mr.
like to
Pearson.
draft a letter?
Me and him, I'll get with staff and see if they can help me come up with the right wording. I'm not real good at wording this, but maybe Adam and, Ms. Vivian can help me with the right wording to send something to council for them to start looking into hiring more safety officers.
Okay, so we're gonna leave it at this then. Alex, are you all right with that?
Yeah, so does the capital improvement plan, does it have any staffing or is it just the buildings themselves? Because it would look at the county sheriff like office. It wouldn't say we need so many
Okay, so
employees or,
what Mr. Vanessa asked about is the impact fees of the capital improvement plan. So the second part for we need, regardless, kind of skipping around here. County needs capital improvement plan, period. We don't need to do impact fees in order to have a capital improvement plan. However, the second part of impact fees related to the capital improvement plan is projected growth. So if we know that this room right now holds 100 people, and we know we're growing in 10 years to 200 people, that's what we're gonna project for. So the sheriff's office, we would say, okay, well, for every person, you're supposed to have X number of officers. So yeah, in the second part, not the capital improvement plan as
okay,
it's the first part of it.
gotcha.
You all right with that, to delay this another 2 weeks?
Absolutely. I do have one quick question to staff. Of these 3, 6, 7 items, from a staff perspective of, I get a phone call every day with somebody complaining about this, or I get a phone call every week about this needing to happen. Comparing this list of our 2021 objectives with that kind of conversation of, I wish we had, or this continues to happen, is this the best list that we've come up with based on those criteria?
That's the great thing about being staff, is that I just do as I'm told, sir. Not to completely back off, it's a valid question, but I am the complaint department, so inherently I'm gonna get the complaints. That doesn't mean, it's just like traffic, like you can go outside and say, there's a lot of traffic out, but if you only see it for a moment in time. I think there's been a lot of conversation about greenways, sidewalks, bike trails, things of that nature. That gets brought up all the time. Maybe it's just because I was at like 90% of the comp plan meetings. And then compatibility between agriculture and new residential. I'm not speaking for our former chairperson, but I'm sure she would jump right on that. And, no farms, no food kind of thing, but that's just more of an opinion and stuff. But y'all,
I think it would be good, since there's enough interest, to redo that homework. If there's any additional ideas that we want to add to this or take away from this, or go back to staff and say, what do you need? I do believe that the planning department's job is to plan based on what the residents of the county are asking for be done, whether that's remove something or whether that's add something, or whether that's adjust something. I don't think that tax dollars should necessarily be in that equation initially, although tax dollars are a very important consideration if the consumers are asking for it. And it may be that there's 2 consumers asking for it, or two residents. But I think that we need to look at all the things that are of the highest request or of the highest problem and focus on those this year. At least bring them to the public and say, okay, this is what we were told to talk about. Is everybody still game for this? And see how many chairs fill up.
Alex?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think,
So,
we
okay,
went through the comp plan, if those are the most, or the most commented on, that we can have something to do with. I think we owe it to everybody to at least discuss them in meetings.
so let's recap here what's gonna happen the next meeting, so that we don't waste another 2 weeks or a month fooling with this thing. We're just trying to get a priority list together, what to deal with. David, you're gonna come up with it by Friday,
Yes, sir.
this coming Friday. Alex, do you want to add to it?
Call me on
I'm comfortable with that. I'm fine if we look into the use the capital improvement plan to see that we've got adequate officers and fire coverage and everything. I mean,
All right, and you're all right with that? Are you gonna make any,
I may add to
Will
here as
you
well.
send it to
I
Adam?
will, by Friday.
By Friday. Everybody has homework to do. You've got a letter to write. And spelling and punctuation will be
Also-
important.
That's what I got Adam for. He
Well,
better
that's what I'm
spell it
known
and
for.
punctuation.
He doesn't do the writing. You gotta do the writing.
He does better at punctuation than I do.
Well, they
I have
will
those
do the
run-on
punctuating.
sentences.
All right, so I guess I'm the only one that doesn't have anything to turn in. So we've
It's
all
because you're
got
the one that
homework.
did the good homework job the first time.
Well, we've all got homework to do. Okay. The next item on the agenda is term limits. So it was tabled, at the last meeting, so we're gonna bring it back up this time for discussion. Would anybody like to enter into the discussion about term limits for the chairmanship job? In other words, I'm working myself out of a job.
Okay, after doing some research, I found out that no county in the 10 county, basically 10 at the top, has no term limits on any of their planning commission chairmen. None. We do have a few committees that have term limits on chairmen, but the chairman is chose by the 7 people on this commission, not by any other entity, not by the public, not by the council, not by staff. And usually it's someone that those 7 people think they can work with, get along with, and not choke before the year's out. So, so having a term limit on someone, I think is just uncalled for, because if we feel that, say, Alex he will agree to be chairman, and he wants to be chairman, and he can do the job for his directing meetings, possibly signing a few papers that we send to council, and things of that nature, and we want him to be chairman for 3 years, that's our decision and no one else's. Putting a term limit on it, we have people that don't want to be chairman. So the idea of it, a forced rotation, I just think it's just wrong.
I don't know that a chairmanship, well, 2 things. One, I hope we talk about this in less time than we talked about stuff that was actually public interest. And speaking of public interest, I don't know that term limits of what we decide on who's going to lead the show that night has anything to do with public interest necessarily. So I have no need to put term limits in place.
Alex?
as far as term limit, the only thing I could think of is a rotation, but I don't know that it's that necessary. Meaning that you can't serve 2 consecutive years, but I don't know that it's really necessary.
Don't kick
I haven't
yourself
seen
out
it.
of a job just yet.
I haven't seen
Well,
a problem with it, so.
I've worked my way out of a job, I've been fired before and whatever. David?
I don't have any additional comments. I don't think we need term limits.
Okay, well, I think we'll let this motion die then, and we won't discuss the term limit situation anymore. We do that legally, or do we have to vote on it, or I withdraw the motion?
There was no, didn't make a motion, you just opened up for conversation, so
Okay, we're comfortable.
So
Now-
we don't vote on the motion that was made at the prior meeting.
So with that, I'll write it down for you. I managed to, let me write it down for you.
Just
That way I don't
curious.
say the wrong thing, but it's correct.
I didn't know if I can't remember if we made a motion at the meeting.
The motion was made, and then it was tabled, and
Okay, so,
we brought it back up, and I can withdraw the motion at this time to keep it legal. So let's do that. Let's recap before we adjourn. This is another good, short meeting. We've got homework to do, okay? Everybody's got it? Spelling and punctuation doesn't count. and there's a letter to be written.
It will be done.
Okay, the agenda next meeting is going to be interesting. We don't have a priority list, but I will come up with a few things to keep us active, okay? Can we have is there anything else to discuss anybody wants to bring on? Let's bring up.
Got anything?
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Mike, I have one more thing. I just wanted to request a copy of that 2021 list that you had, and also you had discussed for the strategies, the public request by priority. I
Oh,
need
sure.
that information.
Yeah.
I'll get with you after the meeting on that, so.
I would like you to send that to me too, what you did and your list and the one you worked with Adam.
Yeah, I can do that. It may take me till Friday to figure out how to do it.
You had done a really good job of breaking down how many responses of all those public meetings we had, that there were 47 sticky notes that talked about X, Y, Z, and 27 sticky notes that talked about RFG or whatever it was.
Well,
You
let me-
prioritized
Yeah,
those.
let me tell you, I got my internship tag doing that. That was quite an interesting exercise.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.